started, I said, well, how should I do this? And I started doing research. I started reading all sorts of things. Well, you saw the first scene, what it was about. So research for that, go to the web, type in breastfeeding, and see what comes up. And what came up was accounts by new mothers, very interesting accounts. So I did quite a lot of reading on that subject. And then later on, I just read all sorts of things. I even read a classic text called Of Woman Born by Adrian Rich, and other things. One thing that I couldn't find, because later on in the book I knew already that there was going to be this intense relation between the mother and her son, which is sort of Oedipal. But the problem is that Oedipal theory is always from the son's point of view, from the male point of view, and I couldn't really find much from the female point of view, what Jocasta is supposed to feel, if you will. So anyway, that was something, I couldn't really get all sorts of things that I wanted in terms of just reading. So what I did is I stopped reading, and at some point I said, okay, let me just try to write this. And interestingly enough, what came out was exactly that first paragraph that I read to you. That's the first thing that came out. And that sort of set the tone for the whole novel, that this woman is talking to her son, almost like a love letter. And I just followed that. But even though that came out, it was still very hard. The hardest thing was trying to understand how a woman would think that might be different from my way of thinking. And I had to think of, I had to follow Meera with tiny steps, see the world through her eyes, see her son through her eyes. And then when there was a question like that, I would think, well, what would my aunt do in that position, or what would my mother do? And just by intuition, most strongly of everything, that's how I did it. One thing I didn't do was show it to anyone while I was writing it. I did not show it to women, especially the later parts with her son, until it was finished. So in that sense, it was sort of a high wire act, because I didn't know if I was getting it right.